Well, let's talk about that now. So later on, Mrs. Ammerman was the advisor, and later on she became one of your teachers. And why don't we talk about
Okay,
that course?
well, uh, Helen Ammerman was a very well-educated, very intelligent, typical Caucasian woman, quite attractive. Um, and she had the feeling that her mission was kind of different from Mrs. Pollock. Miss Ammerman felt her mission was to teach us American democratic practices right down the line, even though we were inside the camp. And she happened to be my civics teacher, and she did a good job on teaching us, the Constitution of the United States and how the government works and all this kind of stuff. And in fact, she did such a good job that I took it upon myself to really read the Constitution, because here was something that Gordon Hirabashi had tried to exercise in 1942, and he went to jail for it, and he makes a presentation to us in the freshman class, and here I'm reading this thing in the actual verse and trying to interpret it. And I say to myself, well, they have the Bill of Rights, they have all these guarantees, and as a result of this kind of indoctrination, which I got from Miss Ammerman, I turned around and in my term paper, I used all that process that I had been exposed to. And my term paper was American Democracy, What It Means to Me. And it was a collection of all my frustrations about being in the camp and all the things that really caused me concern about what was happening to us. And it was the 13 pages of stuff that I wrote. And, it referred to the screwball things that the Truman Investigating Committee did to us in their reports, and everything about the treatment of blacks in the South. And I wrote all my frustrations in there. And Miss Ammerman called me one day after class and said she can't accept this paper.
And before you turned it in, after you had written it, did you feel that it was going to cause problems, or do you think?
No, I didn't think so. I thought, for one thing, it was a little bit too long. But then, on the other hand, I thought I got rid of all my frustrations in the paper, so I was kind of happy with it, frankly.
Okay. Good. So tell me more about Mrs. Ammerman's reaction.
Oh, Miss Ammerman?
Oh, Miss Ammerman.
Well, she said that, we taught you the civics in this class, and I was expecting a paper that would say, you empathize with the way that the class was taught and the principles that you were given. And I thought that you would give me a paper that would be something that would reflect that. And here you're trying to completely upturn this whole thing that we're trying to educate you on. And she said, I'm very disappointed in you. So this was a kind of a change. I thought, gee, she'd be happier than heck to see it, And so I said, well, I don't think I did anything wrong, and I think I was within the context of what you asked for in the term paper. And she said, well, unless you rewrite it, I'm not going to accept it. And at that time, going back to the school regulation, if you had one F, you got all Fs. So she said, you know what's going to happen if I don't accept your term paper and I give you an F for incompletion and unsatisfactory work, that means that you're going to get, all your junior year for this semester is going to be all Fs. And, you're not going to graduate. I had enough credits to graduate at that point. And she says, you know, I've been watching you all the 3 years that we've been in the student council, and you've been, you know, I've seen you change from a very good student to what I consider not a good student in her definition, you know. And she tried to give me counsel, you know. She was doing it for my own good, you know. And I was at that point, I thought to myself, man, I've been suckered into the, you know, the student council and did all this stuff, and I'm not going to take it anymore. I guess that was in the back of my mind too. And I said, you know, this is my paper, you know, that's it. And she says, you know, you're going to have to think it over, because this is a very important decision you have to make, you know. And she laid it down. But I decided I'm not going to rewrite it.